Hello Traceable designers. Today I'll show you how to make the very simple swag center panel. This valance is hung using a rod hanging pocket on a straight decorative curtain rod. You can make any number of center panels to fit your window size and then create scarf accents to hang between the panels and on the ends. Your window size will determine the size and number of center panels needed, so consult your instructions for details. The swag valance design form is used to make both center panels and cornice style side panels. So when sizing your fabric section, use a folded fabric section and make sure that you have plenty of fabric above the center panel rod pocket height and also around all edges for tracing. We will be making a 2-inch rod hanging pocket and we'll use the 4-inch section on the design form that's marked center panel lined fabric positioning marker. After cutting your fabric size, pull out your fusible backing from your kit and position it on the back side of your open fabric section. You're going to use the lined fabric positioning marker for placement, so make sure you size that backing so that it doesn't extend past the edges. So we'll be making, again, a 4-inch section that is unlined on top, and then we're going to size the bottom area of the backing so that it does not extend past the edges but does extend past the lower edge of the design form to make sure that your lining is fully fused for tracing. So just make sure that your backing covers the entire fabric section and does not extend past the edges so you don't get glue on your ironing board. Turn the steam off of your iron, set it to medium-high heat, and begin in the center with a sweeping motion out toward the sides to fuse the backing down and deposit the glue. You want to make sure you go center out to avoid buckling. Once the paper is completely cooled, carefully peel it back to expose the glue. Then cut a section of lining that has a very straight top edge to fit across the top edge of your backing and extend past all the edges by several inches on the sides and the bottom. Then beginning in the center with a sweeping out motion, again making sure that your lining covers straight across the top of your exposed glue. Sweep down and out toward the sides until you've completely fused the lining to the back of the glue on your fabric section. Next, you'll fold your fabric section in half and match the front and back lining top edge, then just pin it to secure it. To trace your design form, you'll use the center panel lined fabric positioning marker. Make sure that is straight across, aligned across the top edge of your lining, and then I'm using the 15-inch width marker for a 30-inch center panel. So make sure you've aligned that properly before you start to trace. So I've got the 15-inch marker on the folded side, and my center panel lined fabric positioning marker is straight across my lining. Then I'm marking the top edge of the center panel rod pocket. That's the rod pocket height line, which I will then lower the form to adjust the depth. So just trace around your design form, make sure it's very clear, and trace right along to the folded fabric edge. Then mark the right side of the rod pocket section across the unlined fabric. Make sure your sizing line is still aligned across your folded side. Then just trace across the top of the design form to mark the 4-inch rod pocket section to straighten out that top edge. To cut out your panel, turn the folded edge facing you and just carefully follow along your traced line to cut out the valance shape. You'll cut around the curved sides and then straight up the side, the open side, across the rod pocket section. Then just turn the panel with the cut side facing you so you can hold on to it and cut across the top edge of the rod pocket section. Then run an iron across it to smooth it out. Then we'll move on to the rod pocket. To make the rod pocket, you'll fold the unlined fabric section over to meet the top of the lining without overlapping. And then just cut sections of fusible backing to fit inside of that folded section without overlapping onto your ironing board or onto your lining. Once the paper has cooled, peel that back to expose the glue, and then you can finish your rod pocket by folding it over the lining and then fusing that down flat so that that seals to the panel, leaving you an open rod hanging pocket. To finish the panel, I'm gluing on edge trim. I'm using Unique Stitch, which is an easy-to-use fabric glue. It does dry clear. And I'm using a 3/8 inch braided gimp trim. It's flexible and it will curve around the edges nicely. So when you size off your trim, make sure you give yourself a little excess so you don't run short. And then I like to run my trim underneath an iron to get it nice and straight so it goes on evenly. So I'm putting a thin line of glue just inside of the edge, and I like to continue around the first curve. It makes it easier when securing the edge trim. And then you'll make sure your trim extends a little bit past the upper edge. You will secure that behind when you're finished. Then just simply follow along the shape of your valance. This is a really important step because you want your trim to really follow the design shape so that it looks professionally made. So you can keep going back over it and readjusting it. Just take a look at it, make sure it's nice and even before you move on. Then just continue around your panel all the way to the other side and then just secure those edges behind the rod pocket with the glue. Make any number of panels to fit your window size, then follow the instructions to make your scarf accent connectors, and you're ready to hang your beautiful new swag and scarf valance. Thank you for joining me, Traceable Designers, and remember, you can always make your mark with Traceable Designer.